All right, so I felt very guilty as I was riding away from this place. I felt fairly guilty, and here's why. I want to take this place. The thing is, I realized that at this point, paying Alan a broker's fee for finding this place is out of the cards because I found it of my own volition. Somebody suggested that I look on this page of this website. I did the search. I found it. I saw the space, and I arranged the phone call. I looked at it. I vetted the space. I did essentially what the work of a broker would have been there. But at the same time, I had made a commitment to Alan that I'm going to find a space with you. But he didn't find me the space. I feel like I saw a cute girl while on the ride home, and I took her on the back of my bike, took her to the St. Mark's Hotel, and then went home to Erica. That would have been very wrong. But Erica's giving a thumbs down in the background right now. And I feel like I did the broker's version of that. The thing is, I wasn't intending this to happen. Somebody suggested I look at this. I looked at it, and I saw a space that I believe wasn't available. I believed it wasn't available because Alan said you're probably not going to find cheaper or better than this in this area or anywhere, honestly. Even if you go to an area that's a little bit more off the beaten path, much less Midtown. And also, I just hadn't seen it. I walked down this block, and I did not see the space. So I called him, and I said, I'm having a bit of a crisis of conscience because I want to find a space through you. But I found the space on my own that you didn't show me that's genuinely perfect. And I cannot pay you a broker's fee for this because I found it. It wasn't your legwork, but I had been working with you. Do you think that the $2,000 that I've already paid you for your assistance is fair? Do you think that's more than fair, not fair, or just fair enough? Do you think that $2,000 for you finding the 30th Street space, you having conversations with me, you looking up spaces? I think the only spaces he showed me so far was the laundromat, which was a very clear and obvious no, one of the offices, which was a no, and the 30th Street space, which was a maybe and a yes until they decided, we're just playing hardball with concessions and our building management are dicks. I can't pay a broker's fee for that, but you've done a lot of work so far. What do you think is fair? What do you think that the work you've done to this point is worth? The reason I ask you is because this deal may not go through. I may wind up not getting this place. I don't want you to be in this situation where you believe that I'm exclusive to you and you're hunting for spaces while I'm, trying to finish a deal with this landlord. That would be shady and dishonest. So I want to tell you this. But I also don't want to discontinue a working relationship with you because if this deal I have does not go through, I'm going to need help in finding a space, and I think that your help would be very useful and beneficial to me. So how do you suggest we handle this? Now, if I told Erica, listen, I wasn't planning to find another girlfriend, but this hot girl just jumped in front of my bike and said, let's have sex in the St. Mark's Hotel, I'm pretty sure she would have been just as pissed as she would be if I was actively on Tinder swiping, because that's just, it doesn't make a difference. But for some reason, I was explaining this like it makes a difference. He thought that the space was too good to be true. He said, here's the things you should ask them for. Here's what you should do. Here's all the places you should check. Make sure there's no Jimmy Hoffa's hiding in the wall. And if it goes through, great. I'm very happy for you, and thank you for saving me some time. Now, I felt guilty making that call. I felt like perhaps the $2,000 was not enough. I got to the store, and Steve told me, Steve typically kind of slaps me back into a sense. I tend to be either way too nice or way too mean, but I'm not very good at having a middle ground. I'm either, too giving, too altruistic, or I'm a straight up dick. But it's very hard for me to find the middle ground. And he was telling me he didn't find you a space. He found you one space that needed a fuck ton of work. He didn't find you another space. You gave him $2,000 even though he didn't find you a space. He's got 22,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's got like 40 or 50 5-star reviews because of the honest way that he acted before he knew it was being recorded. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but why the fuck do you feel guilty? And especially since now, Steve said, if you did not tell Alan I found the space outside of you, if you did not have a conversation where you asked what would you find fair, then you have reason to feel guilty. But you called him and you said, I feel like I have a guilty conscience because this just happened. I'm not going to give up the space I just found because it would be perfect for my business. And I can't pay you a full broker's fee because I found it. But you were under the impression that I was going to be working with you exclusively. And I found a space that just so happened to be outside of it. What do you think is fair? And since I threw the ball in his court, and honestly, if he had said, listen, I think my work would have been worth another $2,000 or $3,000, I would have paid it to him. I think that I covered my bases there and that I don't have something to feel particularly bad about. Although I do still wonder, how did you miss this? How did you miss the fact that there was a space that was so perfect down the block? And the two reasons I imagine that this could have been missed, because as you heard in the video, they would have been fine paying a broker's fee. This is the thing. He said in that clip, by the way, yeah, we would have totally paid a broker's fee, is either A, you missed it, or B, you went to your contacts before doing a walkthrough. Because Alan said that David, the leasing agent at Bernstein, is somebody he's known for several years, and he's leased several properties from that guy over several years. So maybe it was kind of a bro thing where he went to the people that he knew to be reputable rather than do a full-on search in the area. Or maybe he just missed it the same way I did. I walked down that block not once but twice. Because remember, I checked out the pantyhose store twice. The first time I did a walkthrough, then when I said, no, screw it, I'm not interested, they asked me to come back to the negotiating table, so I did a second walkthrough with them. And each time that I walked down that block, I missed this space. I'm kind of wondering what kind of Bermuda Triangle shit is going on in that space that caused me to miss it twice, Paul to miss it when he was walking down the block with me, and Alan to miss it when it's literally his job to know the area, know the best spaces for me. It was a fairly difficult conversation to have, because I felt like I had screwed over someone who was being honest. But in the end of it, I think that essentially this is the best way that I could have possibly handled it. I'm not going to spend an additional $150,000 to $200,000 in a space that's not ideal for me because I like the broker. I can't pay the broker a $30,000 to $40,000 fee because I like the guy, if he wasn't the one that found me the space. But I want to be fair to him and his time. And I talked to Jessa, and she also said, $2,000 is what I charge for a week of teaching people who are clueless how to micro solder and repair boards. So do you feel like you got an education from Alan? And I said, yes, I feel like I got an excellent education from Alan, and that education helped me in finding the space. And he goes, so you paid for a practical realty repair school? No, I mean, practical realty school. You paid for PRS, consider it that way. So perhaps you'll feel less guilty about it. We'll see how the space goes. But I really wanted to make sure I didn't burn that bridge with Alan. Because I had spoken to one person that said, don't tell Alan you're looking for a new space. Don't tell Alan you found this. Just let him keep looking for you. And that would have been a fucked up ass thing to do. That would have been a really shitty thing to do. To let him walk up and down every single block knowing that I'm in negotiations with another space, waste his time when he's not going to make money for it, rather than tell him what's going on and then also ask him what do you think would be a fair monetary compensation for your time. That would have been fucked up. But we'll see how this goes from here. And if it goes well, maybe we'll go into lease negotiations and from there on in design, architecture, and construction.